Hi there, I'm Professor John Blakeman from the UWSP Political Science Department, and I'd like to welcome you back to my ongoing lecture series on the U.S. Constitution, sponsored by the UWSP Alumni Association and their Alumni College Experience. So this is lecture number 5. It's relatively short. It's basically just a very basic introduction on how to read Supreme Court opinions. Because all of the lectures from here on out will focus on one main Supreme Court case, and the case will be available to you in either a Word file or a PDF file, and so you can read the case and then watch the video about the case. So anyway, if you're interested in reading more about the U.S. Supreme Court, I highly recommend this book, Storm Center, by Professor David O'Brien from the University of Virginia. Storm Center, the Supreme Court in American Politics. It's a very good, readable, engaging book about the historical role of the Supreme Court in our political system. Okay, let's get underway. So first off, try to read the facts of the case. And lots of times, Supreme Court cases don't always clearly spell out the facts. They usually do. But the facts are important because they give us a brief statement of the circumstances that led to that specific case. So try to understand the facts. If you don't worry about it, but try, okay? Then think about figuring out what the constitutional and legal questions are in the case. What is it the Supreme Court is actually being asked to decide? Once you've done that, then focus on the Supreme Court's decision or holding. You know, generally, a majority of justices, sometimes all of them, a unanimous opinion, will decide the case. That will be considered the court's decision. How did the court justify its decision? The rationale? What's its reasoning? That's really important. Because the outcome itself, you know, whether the legal question is decided one way or the other, that does matter. But the rationale is very important. How the justices reason to the outcome is what we really need to pay attention to. And what is the opinion for the court? Who wrote that? Sometimes that's not always clear. Which justices were in agreement with that? And then, are there any concurring or dissenting opinions? A concurring opinion is where a justice agrees with the outcome of the case, but might disagree with the majority's reasoning. A dissenting opinion is where a justice disagrees with the outcome and usually disagrees with the reasoning of the court. And both of these are very important. You know, not only will there typically be one opinion for the court, there may well be a concurring opinion and a dissenting opinion. Or there may be several concurring and dissenting opinions. And those are things to pay attention to. Now, we'll try to work our way through all of these things as we read the upcoming Supreme Court cases. And the one we will start with next, Marbury versus Madison, probably one of the most complicated Supreme Court cases you might encounter, at least in this course, okay? It's hard to read, so do your best with it. You'll notice in the PDF files, I have edited the cases for you. I've taken out a lot of extraneous material that really doesn't matter, but I've also highlighted things that I think you should pay attention to. You know, and in the class on the UWSP campus, the students and I worked through a case book which has edited versions of the cases. And I encourage the students to highlight the things that they think are important, bring their casebook to class, and we work through the cases together. So that's what I've tried to do for you here. Okay, so in the next lecture, we will start in on Marbury versus Madison. And so before then, try to read the Supreme Court case if you can. And the way it will work out is I'll give you a PowerPoint slide, a brief introduction to the case, and then I'll get the text of the case up and I'll just work through it with you. How about that? Okay, see you then.